Alright, welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back to Tomboy Official. It's been a busy weekend. Was kind of doing a lot of, engaging with some seminars for some work-related stuff and studying for this exam and finishing up some stuff on LinkedIn and part of a profile that goes to potential employers. So now all I have to do is take the practice exam and then take the final exam when I'm ready. And then I have to do the interview coaching. So that's kind of all I have left. But yeah, I was thinking about this job. I kind of got to thinking about some weird topics. It's kind of been on my mind a bit, off and on. I've talked about it before with friends and stuff and family members. So basically, people know that I work remote. We can meet in person, but I've been kind of not doing that for a long time just because I don't live in the same city, but and because it's inconvenient and it's more money out of pocket because the reimbursement for the travel is not equal to the expense of the gas. And then also I'm trying to limit mileage on my car and a lot of reasons, but basically I feel like it's more efficient to do our work by phone and by internet anyways. We're not really required to meet in person. So with that, one thing I've kind of noticed since somewhere near the beginning in 2020 is just, we're hidden in our job in a lot of ways. And, watching the World Cup kind of brought some things to light. And then, the situation with Brittany from the WNBA getting, released finally, and kind of, some things I was kind of noticing, kind of racial related, kind of also ties into kind of some gender and LGBT kind of related topics. But I didn't really organize this very well as far as talking. I just kind of hit record. But yeah, I was kind of thinking about how at work in general, people don't really know my race or ethnicity. They don't know my sexuality. They don't know anything. It rarely comes up. What does come up is them telling us what type of providers they want to see. So I know I have some queer clients, not a whole lot that outwardly just identify as queer, but I'm pretty sure I have more. Just some of them are very just they openly expressed it. But it's interesting that our current assessment doesn't have any demographic questions along those lines. And up until November, there was nothing that really told us, what race or ethnicity or sexuality, sexual, preferences, gender pronoun preferences. none of that stuff was told to us. And because we kind of just, at least on my end, I'm kind of like, I'm just going to get down to business and just start helping people. Like, I feel like we aren't the main therapists. And yes, I know all the demographic details are important. But sometimes I'm just like, a lot of that stuff comes out. Like, you learn it about the person as you're talking to them and you develop rapport, and then they kind of start sharing about their lives and you kind of start finding out different things about their lives. So on that note, we definitely experience a lot of clients saying different things about races and ethnicities that they don't really know who they're talking to on the other side of the phone. They try to maybe make it like they kind of assume things. And so, we have a lot of minority providers. We have some Muslim providers that wear the hijab. We have some trans and non-binary and, gay providers. People with different types of disabilities and challenges. And yeah, our staff is just, ethnically, racially very diverse, language-wise very diverse. So I just find it very interesting, that a lot of us do have this experience, but from a different angle, right? So it's like, politically, some people experience certain political prejudices. Some people experience racial ones. Some people experience like sexuality ones, gender ones. Like, people experience all kinds of prejudices against them from the clients because they don't know what we are, what we look like. We kind of just like hear them talk about different types of stuff. I'm not Asian, but I have a client who specifically I know is very prejudiced, unfortunately prejudiced towards Asian staff. And I don't, I can just tell just by the way they talk about them when they have met with a certain provider of certain ethnicities or certain language backgrounds, that kind of thing. And so I do find it interesting. And also, I hear people, clients talk about, different things about relationships or their beliefs about relationships. Like, I have one client talking about, how they worked at a counter at a store, and I guess there was a couple that came in, and I think it was Valentine's Day even. I don't remember, but I want to say it was Valentine's Day, and there was a couple that was, at least appeared to be the same gender. I don't know what their identity was, but according to the client, they were saying that this person was, that the people were, like being too explicitly or openly like affectionate, and they shouldn't do that. Even if it's Valentine's Day, they shouldn't do it because they were gay. And so I was kind of like, oh, okay. But I'm like, like, it's kind of awkward when clients say stuff like that, because then you're just sitting there like, okay. And it's like, you gotta know how they feel about a certain identity of people, even if you are one of those identities of people. And it's just kind of weird because, like, I mean, like, yeah, if there is a person who's like openly just like bashing or like anything along those lines, I mean, of course we report anything that's criminal activity and then or violence and things like that, and discrimination and all these types of things. But we don't really tell them like, hey, You can't say that, you know what I mean? Especially if they're not saying it directly to us, we can't really say anything about it. Like, professionally wise, it's like, that's going to be one of the things that I'm honestly going to be glad to not have to deal with. I mean, it's not something that comes up a lot, but it's kind of, I've kind of noticed it's like, I don't know. I don't really like working with, you know, uh, having so much time spent with people who are very closed-minded. Um, it does kind of become a burden. And even though it's only over the phone, it's like other people's attitudes kind of rub off. And so it's like, sometimes I notice, I'm just like, oh, these people, some of them are just so draining and prejudiced and racist. And it's just like, oh my God. But, yeah, they kind of are just very, not all of them, but just a select few, can just be very, like, hostile towards, like, different types of people. But it's just kind of interesting because they, like, assume what they want to assume about us. And so they just openly just tell us all this information as if, as if I'm not black, as if I'm not a gay person or whatever. Like, they just say whatever they want to say, So it's kind of like really awkward sometimes. It's even more awkward when we meet them in person and then they're like, oh, So yeah, like, I had a black client who met me in person, was very shocked that I was a black person, and also had some comments that they made that I kind of know what they were getting at, but they were kind of getting at, I guess, my style of clothing. It was just, I don't know what I was wearing. Like, I probably just was having, like, hair gel in my hair and, like, I don't know what kind. Yeah, I usually use, like, the curl gels, whichever ones those are. Like, there's a lot of types. I don't like the ones that have too much, like, alcohol in them. But, and then oil, like, usually an oil-based gel on top. That's usually my preference. I feel like otherwise gel just, like, totally dries out my hair if I don't put, like, oil in it first. But I was probably not wearing a hat. I probably just had, like, I think the only time with work I've worn a hat was when I went to the work beach thing. And forgive the noise outside. There's gonna be a lot of noise. I live near, like, a popular area in LA that has a bunch of Christmas lights, where all the houses in this whole, like, windy neighborhood have Christmas lights. Like, every single house pretty much. I think you have to have Christmas lights or some kind of lights during this time of year. Like, I think there's maybe, like, sometimes, like, one or two or, like, a few that don't. And a lot of them even keep it on, like, late at night. So usually near 10 p.m., it's like 9:33 p.m. right now. Usually near 10 p.m. I would drive around those neighborhoods and, like, check out the lights when there was really nobody there. But lately this season, for some reason, I know last night the cars were out, they were honking till, like, after 10 p.m. So I lost some sleep. I couldn't sleep early. And then I woke up way too early, like a little before 5 a.m. And then I tried to sleep in a little bit, but I didn't sleep in too much because then I had to watch the World Cup final. So there was all that happened. And then I was, like, tired a lot of the day and slept. I slept at night pretty much. I mean, and I slept in the afternoon for a little bit, like maybe an hour and a half, and I was having, like, some weird dreams. It was, like, some really weird Like, not even like normal weird. It was just like a weird dream experience. Like, I was like half awake, half asleep kind of thing. But I felt really rested afterwards, even though I mean, I was dreaming kind of, but it wasn't like, it was like thinking, brainstorming, dreaming kind of. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. Like, I was thinking of things that I have to do, like ways that I'm gonna like finish some certain stuff. Like, not anything I didn't want to think about, but like fun stuff that I wanted to finish doing. And I was just like thinking about it, kind of brainstorming about it. But I don't know, it was kind of like a dream though, but it was like realistic. So I don't really know. That was weird, but it happens sometimes when I fall asleep, like that. Like, if I have like a nap time. I rarely nap, but yeah, I napped, technically. So yeah, it's just been a weird day all around. And then there might be a lot of honking outside because these guys there's like a long line of cars that goes probably like a mile back. And then, yeah, before it gets into the neighborhood where there's all the lights. And that neighborhood is like the next light from where, well, it's not even the next light. It's the next corner over from where I'm at. So yeah, I just find it interesting, how, the client, kind of brought up some things saying that they have a family member that kind of dresses like me. They're like, oh yeah, I have this family member who doesn't wear, makeup. Like, I have this, like, they were saying, like, they have this female family member who doesn't wear makeup and kind of doesn't wear dresses. They were kind of asking me, do you wear dresses? You seem like you probably don't wear dresses. I'm like, no. But I'm like, dude, this is like weird, right? When you first meet somebody, and it was like for a medical appointment. I'm meeting them for a medical appointment so that I can like introduce myself to like improve the rapport, and like they needed a lot of support. And so I was like meeting them in person and everything. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, it's just weird. Like, they weren't rude about it, they weren't mean about it, but they were kind of just pointing out, like, this is your race that I didn't know, and now I see you in person, and I recognize that there's something about the way that you dress, And I was just like, okay. But, like, they were comparing me, basically saying that they have a family member who dresses, who's a female that doesn't wear dresses, who's also black, and near my age. And I think they asked me how old I was. I can't remember, but yeah, I think they did. And then they're like, oh yeah, you're like the same age as like so and so in my family. And they started asking me questions like that, like, oh, you don't wear makeup, do you? And you don't, wear dresses, do you? And like, yeah, like that family member of mine is like that too. And like, they didn't really take it, I don't think they took it towards any other directions. They were just like, the clothing style stuck out to them. I can't remember if they asked me if I played basketball. I can't remember. But I used to get that a lot when I was younger, when I used to go, like, my parents used to make me go to these like hair appointments. And then of course the style of like that the hair places would do, it was always like these black women like hairstylists, and they would always do my hair, and they do like a perm and straighten it, and they use a hot comb, and then they like curl it and do all this kind of stuff. And I just be like, what the hell? Like, I'm not gonna like make my hair look like that. Like, I'm just gonna put it back the way it was, but so it was a little, like done by them, but the styles they would always pick had nothing to do with the way I was actually dressed. And they would always make these comments like, oh yeah, you need to change. Like, they would always say, okay, now all you need, like, it was because I went to different ones. It wasn't like always the same person or the same company. It was different places. And so they would say, Like, now all you need to do is find a dress or some nicer clothes or whatever. Because I'd always come in, like, wearing whatever sports jerseys and all, like, I don't know what I would wear. Like, the same stuff I always wore, like, probably baggy clothes and, like, I dressed like those little homies dolls, like, with the big baggy everything. like, like your pants, like, dragging over your shoes and everything. Like, my clothes were huge. Um, I think my sweaters were like to size. I don't remember if I wore like really baggy sweaters, but I wore a lot of just like just yeah. I mean, I feel like my clothing style never really changed. Like I'm trying to think of when it changed, because there was a point when I was a little kid where I didn't really like I had a certain point in time when I did have preferences for clothing, certain types of clothing. Like, I remember what was it? It was like back in the day when, like, I don't know if it was like Paula Abdul or Janet Jackson or like I think it was that middle child in Full House as well. Like, there were certain people on TV and music videos that I'd seen wearing those like black shiny kind of shoes. They almost looked like almost like a dress shoe kind of. I don't know how to describe what they were. They were like black shiny shoes with kind of like lace, like ribbony black laces kind of, or you could just put different laces, but they were black and shiny. They weren't loafers. They were kind of like dress shoes, but they kind of almost had like a men's style to them, but they were shiny. They were like really glossy, shiny shoes. It was like an 80s, like a late 80s kind of style. For a second, I don't think I've even seen those types of shoes in forever. They weren't saddle shoes though, but they were like, so they were like the same kind of like shape as saddle shoes almost, but they were like glossy and black. I don't know. Like, it was really weird. But I used to like those. I remember I had a couple t-shirts I liked. A couple pairs of pants I liked. Like, there were some clothes I recognized liking more than others, but I don't know why. Like, I don't specifically know why, because none of my clothes were really that like, there wasn't really like a genderness to them, but definitely the fit and the cut was definitely like, it's just the print was like always like little girl clothes. It was always like pink and purple and like, like frilly colors with little hearts and things all over it and all that kind of stuff. But I tended to like just like sweatshirts or those like ugly ass sweaters. I don't know if people remember, like in the 90s, there were always those like knit sweaters that just had these weird ass designs on them. Like, they were really like colorful. And I had certain ones that would fit a certain way that I liked. And then like I had we had some family friends that had some kids that were like a little bigger than I was. And so they would just give us their clothing. Like, it wasn't, I don't think we really like needed the clothes, but they just didn't want to get rid of them. And my parents took them because they're like, whatever. And so there were some clothes that they gave me that I liked. I used to like kind of like the more straight-legged pants. So I remember there was this one pair of pants. There was just like complete floral print pants. It was like gray pants with like just pink flowers everywhere. And these other like stone-washed like black, they were kind of black jeans, but they were like gray because they were like stone-washed. I don't know if you remember back then how they had the like elastic ankle, the cuffs were like elastic, sometimes that was like a style, and they had this weird like stonewashed tech like look to them. I don't even know how to describe what I'm trying to say, but like basically it was like late 80s and 90s fashion. It wasn't anything to brag about, but yeah, I did have certain things that I liked, but because the colors were so like young girl colors, like stuff you would find in the young girl section, you know, that's I just remember there were certain cuts that I liked. And I remember once, you know, I had this sweater that had like all these colors, and I remember at recess or lunch or something, it was like really hot, and I think my mom had like done my hair or something, and you know, I had under there, all I had was like a really light yellow Hanes t-shirt. It didn't look like a white dingy one. It was like actually yellow from when I was on my first soccer team in 3rd grade. I think we were called the Oreos or something like that. I don't even know who made these names. I think there was like Big Blue and Oreos and like, I can't remember honestly. Like there were 4 teams. There was yellow, pink, blue, and another color that I don't know. But yeah, we were like Pee Wee League, and like, yeah, so I kept that shirt, and this was probably like, I was probably in 3rd or 4th grade taking this picture, and we still have copies of this picture. I basically pulled my hair back in a ponytail, no bangs, no nothing, just pulled it back, and took off my sweater, because I'd been playing sports at like recess or whatever, and I think the pictures were right after recess, and I never put my sweater back on. So my pictures for that year were just like me with my hair pulled all the way back. It looked like I had like no hair, you know, because it was pulled like all the way back. And then it was just like like a plain t-shirt. And like, I'm like just now remembering this. Like, yeah, and then I remember my parents, like they weren't like pissed off or anything, but they were just like, why didn't you wear what you were supposed to wear? Like, you know, and I don't know, like in my head, I was just playing recess, but I kind of wonder if I was like, this is how I want to take my picture. But I don't think I remembered to put my sweater back on. I don't think I remembered about that. I just was wearing what I was wearing. And the whole point was to have that colorful sweater because it made the picture look better, you know, because I wasn't wearing anything like interesting underneath that. And then, you know, my hair was all the way back. So the way, from the angle of the picture, you couldn't even really see that I had hair, because of where my hairline was. Just looked like I was kind of like bald. So that was just something kind of weird and interesting. But yeah, but I just remember it. So that must have been like from about 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade. But I don't really remember before that actually caring too much what clothes anybody put me in. I really don't. And I don't know where or how it just kind of developed a certain way. Like when I was like 5, like I remember preschool and kindergarten, I didn't really have, like I don't think I was really playing sports back then. Like I would just like, all I remember doing for like recess is like being along like the fence and like picking grass, and like there's this one kid that like we used to eat plants. like I don't know why I'm remembering all this weird stuff, but like yeah, we used to like eat plants. I don't know if they really were like chives and onions. Like I can't remember if the preschool had an actual garden that we were eating out of, or if we literally were just beside the fence like eating plants. But I mean, this was like in the Midwest, and so it's very likely that there were like wild plants growing, and they did taste like like I never got sick or anything, not to my knowledge, from eating them. Like I wasn't like vomiting every day or anything, and so whatever we were eating was probably okay. Some of it, we had names for it. We called one of them chives, one of them onions, one of them sweetgrass. I mean, I don't know if we're supposed to be eating them, but we ate them. Like, I don't know how often, but I feel like it was almost every day. And then I remember on the side there was like this giant blue tricycle, but like they kind of made it, I guess they made it stationary. Like, I think they took off maybe the back wheels and then like maybe dug a hole where the front wheel was so you could like pedal but it wouldn't move or something. I just remember it never moved, but you could just sit on it and pedal. I used to like that. And I just remember there were all these beams, kind of like, I don't even know how to describe this. Like, the yard had all these like balance beams like all over the place, but they were actually like logs, so they were like rounded. And I remember like I fell off of it a couple times and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna try and climb on those anymore. Like, I didn't get hurt. And then that's all I really remember. Like, I remember like having these jackets, because it was, the Midwest, so the winters it actually would snow, but we would go outside and we'd have like gloves and hats and all this kind of stuff. And the teachers would take all the little kids out, or I don't know, but we would go outside. And then I remember having this jacket that would like split, like the zipper would split open in the middle. Like, I don't remember it making me cold or anything. I just remember like spending like the whole like recess like trying to like zip my jacket properly and like never got it right and stuff like that, where it was just like, oh my gosh. But yeah, I never was really like too interested in playing with the other kids. I would kind of just do my own thing. Like, I didn't hate anybody, but I was just kind of like totally in my own head. Probably until maybe second grade or so, when I started playing soccer. But yeah, like literally I was just kind of like, but I don't know. I don't know if I was that way at church. I feel I was more interactive at church, maybe. At least from like kindergarten up. I just think maybe I wasn't very interactive at school. And I just remember being spaced out all the time. Like, I was never paying attention. I'd just be like, okay, it's time to go sit on the rug on this square. Like, we all had certain squares you got to remember to sit on. And then they'd have story time or show and tell or whatever. And I'd just be like spacing out, like, I don't think I was very like involved, but, and then I would just like talk to other kids, and they would always be telling me like I'm not supposed to be talking, but I would just talk to other kids just whenever I felt like it. Like, in the middle of class, we'd be supposed to be doing like finger painting or whatever, and I'd just be like talking to everybody like about God only knows what, but like those are the kind of things I guess I liked doing when I was a kid. But it's kind of funny, though. I just bring all that up because I'm like, it's kind of funny that there's nothing that I think was significantly, like, me making choices about things, like, actively being like, okay, this is what I want for myself, until maybe, like, around second grade or so. That's when I started liking certain kind of clothes and certain types of maybe like activities. I don't know, like, I remember I used to like playing with my male friends. I never really had like female friends that I like actively sought out. Like, there were neighborhood kids, like, I don't mind saying their names because I haven't seen them since I was probably like 10 or something, but like maybe older than 10, but definitely I wasn't a teenager yet. There was this one a girl named Steffi. She lived across the street, but down the street. I think she was Caucasian, but maybe she was mixed. Maybe her mom was Latina. I can't remember. I know her dad looked white, at least. And she had these brothers, Christian and Leif, that were like really bad. Like, they weren't like mean, they were just naughty. I guess I'd put, like, they would just like, pull up the grass in their lawn, or like, bash in the sprinklers with rocks and like stuff like that, where it's like they weren't like harming anybody else, but they were always in trouble for like wrecking stuff. And they would just like, unzip the pillows in the living room couch and just like take all the stuffing out of it, and like, the what's her face? I can't remember her I'm laughing because I just remembered. Oh my gosh. My little friend Steffi, she had a housekeeper. So the housekeeper was there like all the time. And I think she was a live-in housekeeper. And I thought her name was Porque. Because whenever, like, she would only speak Spanish, so I never knew like what she was telling my friends, but she'd always, I could tell she was telling the boys to like stop wrecking the house, basically. And then she'd always tell my friend Steffi something like to come in, or it's time to eat lunch or whatever. So we never really liked to go to her house. Like, we would play outside, but we never really liked to go to her house. Because whenever she would go in to like get a toy or like whatever, or to show me something in her house, or if we'd go from playing out in the front to like going into her backyard or something, I think our rule in my house was, if I was gonna go into somebody's house, I'd have to tell my parents. But because we just played like out front on the street, it wasn't a busy street at all, so we would just play in the middle of the road, and like on the sidewalk, or in the front yards of everybody's house. You could see all the way down the street or all the way down the hill or whatever. So as long as we were outside, people could see us. But the rule was, if you're going to go in someone's house or backyard, I had to tell my parents. And so, I'd have to go all the way back to my house, tell my mom, usually it was my mom, that I was going to be at her yard. And then like the whole time she's like, Steffi's out front like crying at her housekeeper because she didn't want to go inside. And this was like almost every time we were trying to do something. So she would be like, okay, like, let's get like popsicles or something. I'm like, okay. So I was like, if we're going in your house, I gotta go all the way home and tell my mom. And then I'd always come back and she'd be crying, and then she can't play anymore because now she has to come inside and do whatever it is that her housekeeper needed her to do. And so that was one friend that was a female friend. And I was like, why is she crying all the time? Like, that was something I never understood. Like, I had female friends, a few of them in the neighborhood, that just were always crying. Like, they're always crying. Like, that's how they got what they wanted. They would cry. And I was like, my other friends, the male friends, they never cried. When the housekeeper would tell them to come in, they were never like crying about it. Which was one thing I noticed, which was something kind of different, where I was like, I'm not really like that. I don't really just like cry, when my parents tell me to do something. It's like, I don't know. And then I had another friend, Michelle. She lived at the corner. I think she was Middle Eastern. She could never come out, so we would talk to her over her gate, because I think Steffi knew her from, I don't know, from school or something. I think we all went to the same school. I don't even remember. This is like so long ago. I think they knew each other from school or something. And we would talk to her through her gate. Like, we would climb up on the side wall, and then she would climb up on the inner side wall, and we would just talk over the gate. And sometimes we were allowed to go play in her backyard, but she was like never allowed to come outside and play with us. I think maybe twice ever she came out and we played on her front lawn. But yeah, and then across the street from her, on my side of the street, were like some kids that were sometimes there, but I don't know. I think the person who lived in their house was like their grandfather or uncle or somebody who they visited, because they weren't there a lot. And we used to play Mancala. I don't remember this kid's name. No one in the house spoke English, though. I don't even know where she was from. I don't know if I ever knew her name. I would just go in her house and we would play Mancala, and I don't remember. Like, there was just never English in the house, and I don't know what language it was. I think they were either Middle Eastern or some kind of Asian with dark skin. I really don't know because I was like young. And then, but yeah, the other one, Michelle, she spoke Arabic. I remember that. And I don't know how I know. I just remember now, like, yeah, she spoke Arabic. This other girl, the Mancala girl, I don't really know what she spoke, and I don't know if I ever knew her name. I don't even know if she spoke English. Like, I don't remember ever talking to her. I want to say her name was Lynn, but I don't really know. And then Kendra and Matthew. Kendra was like, we were closest to that family. I think that was the only black family on our street. And I remember when my sister was being born, that was the house that we stayed at overnight when my dad took my mom to the hospital. So we stayed in that, in their house. And so we went, Kendra, Matthew, I can't remember. They had like a cousin that I can't remember his name, but he always had these like blue like Keds shoes. I can't remember, but yeah, Kendra was cool. Like I remember she had like really like light brown, like sun bleached light brown hair. And her brother would fight. Like, they'd be, like, beating the shit out of each other. Like, I was like, oh, my God. Because me and my brother didn't fight like that. And so we were just, like, we would hang out with them a lot because my parents kind of liked their parents the most. Like, they communicated more than, like, any other parents other than our neighbors, maybe. And, yeah, like, otherwise, I think all the other friends on that street. Oh, there was Whitney as well, but she was another one. I don't know if she lived with her mom or grandma, but somebody who seemed kind of elderly, and there was always smoke in the house. It was like a smoky house. So I remember I would go in there, and I would go in there and be like, oh my God, like it's really smoky in here. And so, yeah, I remember her. And a lot of the boys liked her. I remember that. A lot of the boys I remember she had like curly blonde hair. And I just thought she was just so boring. And I was just like, can we please just play guns? Like, I don't want to like go to her house. And like her grandma or whoever that is weird. And they were always like sitting like, you know, like a room without the curtains open. And like, it was like not dark, but because we only went over the places in like daytime. We weren't allowed to be out when the street lights were on, and so we were out when it was like daytime. Like usually before dinner we were outside. So yeah, we would go to her house, and like yeah, like my guy friends and some of my female friends just like to go over there. And like we used to have tea parties. I think her house is the one where we would have these tea parties where it would be like bologna like cut up into like quarters, and then like cheese, like those American cheese slices, singles, just into quarters as well, and then like saltine crackers, and then water in the little teacups. And we would have little tea parties, and that was what I did like doing at her house, was the little tea parties. But her and Steffi didn't get along, and Kendra and Steffi didn't get along, and you know, Steffi always ended up going home crying. I don't know why. Like, I don't know. And they'd always be like arguing about stuff. Like I feel like I was like never involved, and I never understood. Like we were just playing, and now everybody's crying all the time. Like I never understood what the hell was happening. Like, and it's just now hitting me. I'm just like, dude, like I remember being a kid and just being like, yeah, when I play with the guys, it's fun. Because we're not like, nobody's crying and nobody's arguing. Like people were more respectful with one another. Like there were a couple guys that were a little bit of jerks, but like they were never mean to me really. And then like, you know, they were never mean to my brother. They're like, some of them just kind of had a little bit of egos with each other. And yeah, I just remember that. Like, it was very interesting. Like, I just remember, we just ride bikes and skateboards and play hockey, street hockey. We play karate a lot. We play guns a lot with like super soakers. We'd be like jumping over into the neighbors' fences and like shooting people in their kitchens and stuff. Like, it was a mess. Like, and then like near 4th of July, we would have like poppers and fireworks that we'd like throw at each other, like grenades. It was like a grenades game and stuff. And like, and then was video games. Once people started getting video games, we like were always playing video games. But most of the houses had rules where we couldn't be in there for more than like an hour or 2 hours or whatever. And so all the boys would be in there playing video games, and I'd always be like there, but I almost never got to play. But we got video games at our house, and so I got better and started playing when all the boys would come over to our house. Then I'd play because it was my house, so I was allowed to play. But I just remember they didn't not allow me to play, but I think they didn't really know that I was interested. And I wasn't like speaking up saying like, hey, I want to play. I just was like watching. But it was a little boring because I wasn't involved, but I kind of like that more than like playing with my other female friends that like, I don't know what we would play. I just remember like building little like places, like little dwellings, like in bushes and stuff. Like, we hardly did like active stuff. It was little like social games, like kind of with dolls. I don't know. Like, we didn't really play with dolls that much, I don't think, but we did kind of. But more so we would like role play, like, I remember we had this like old furniture outside of our house with like these kind of plastic cushions. I think it was like, I don't know how many, but we would like take those cushions off and put some on the ground and then put some on the back of whatever that kind of outdoor couch was up against part of the window, and they would kind of stand up, like they would stay, and so we would like play under that, and we'd always be like making little tent type places to kind of just like hang out in there. And like, I don't know what we would talk about, but somebody would almost always leave crying. I don't even know. Like, I never really understood the games. Yeah, we would play this karate game with my neighbor. Me and my brother would. He was a boy neighbor named Chris. His family was from Argentina, and he had his extended family living there. And I think the mom's name was Savannah. He had a brother named Brandon who was older, but he never really was like outside. He had this kind of bad cousin named Brian who would come to town every summer or something and get in trouble and stuff, but like, he was nice to us. And I can't remember if he had an accent. I can't remember where he was from, but he was like, I remember like we thought he was cool because he was 12 or something. We're like, oh, he's 12, and so like, I remember him. I remember the guy down the street with a gun, the freaking guy that would pull a gun on us, at the end of the block. Like, it wasn't the end of the block, it was down the hill, like that guy. And then this other guy that lived next door to Chris, he wasn't our friend. And the guy who pulled a gun on us was an old guy, like, he pulled a gun on us. But, multiple times, like, I don't even know why we went back again, but he did. And I think the adults didn't believe us because we came running home, and they're just like, he doesn't have a gun. And we're just like, dude, he freaking pulled out a shotgun. Like, it was like yelling at us. But, I don't know. We weren't like super scared. It was like excitement. Like, we were just like, oh shit, he pulled out a gun. We just like bolted down the street, and then like, it was like, whatever. Like, and the other guy who had the weird surveillance cameras and stuff, who lived next to Chris, there were a lot of older people on the block too, like old people and people without kids. And then the neighbors next to us, it was an Asian family from somewhere that either was renting out rooms or just had a massive extended family. I remember there were one, two, three, four. So they had a 2-car garage with 1, 2, 3, 4 cars parked in the driveway and at least 2 to 3 cars parked out front of their house. So, and they extended their house in the back and they expanded it upward. They built like another story or so. And so they had, I don't know how many rooms. They probably had at least 6 rooms. I think it was family members that were all like the same age range, but I can't confirm it was family. It might have been they were just renting it out, but they were never really loud. They grew peaches that we would eat. And yeah, I mostly just played with my brother, and we're 2 years apart, so our friends were like usually around his age or between my age and his age or my age, like. But we mostly played with boys because he mostly never played with girls. And so I would come play with him and his friends. And mostly we would play just regular sports or those other kind of games, or make up some version of football or some version of, like, we used to play this game called Double Goalies. That was still like the most epic game. I wish I remembered the rules, but it was the best game ever. Like, you had 2 goalies. Like, there were certain points where you could actually use your hands. And then, like, so basically, if you were far enough back, you could basically have 2 goalies that could use their hands. And I think there was a form of passing, but I can't remember what the rules. I think you could do one technically, like, handball, like, pass, kind of like a basketball style pass, like a bounce pass or just like a chest pass. But this is on grass. And then, like outside of the box. But we had like 2 goals. One was the swing set and the other was the clothing line. And it was me and my brother and one of our close church friends, a really, really conservative family from New Zealand, him and his younger brother. And we would just play this game like every day after school. And it was the best game. Like, I don't know why. Like, I just remember being just like, we just all be like completely sweaty and just like wrecked. Like, I was like, I can't do anything when I'm done playing that game. It was pretty intense. It was like a combination of multiple sports, but I don't really know. Like, it was fun though. But yeah, I mostly just played, like, after that, I mostly just played sports, like, at recess. I put it this way. I used to play sports at recess time, and I used to play sports definitely for PE and then for sports league and then like after school for fun. But for lunchtime, I kind of preferred to just like mingle and talk with the people who didn't really want to play sports. Like, I remember, I didn't always want to play sports, but yeah, I remember playing a lot of games and sports and stuff, and like got into chess a little bit, and like, but thinking back, I was like, I hardly really had a lot of female friends, like, like that I actually actively would like seek to actually have fun with. Like, I had one other friend who we still are in contact. Our parents are friends. She's in the military, and she's a lesbian, and she's around every so often. And yeah, we're still friends. We talk to each other. I was just talking to her today, like about the soccer game and stuff, and like we've been in touch ever since we were like little kids. So I think we met in like when she was in 2nd grade and I was in 3rd grade. And I used to think it was so cool that, like, her mom let her take Taekwondo. I was like, that's so cool. And I think she got to, like, purple belt or something. And I was, like, I don't know if is envious considered, like, I wasn't jealous or, like, mad at her. I was just like, dude, like, any opportunity where she would, like, want to teach me karate or something, I thought it was, like, so cool. And we would do, like, pull-ups on the monkey bars and push-ups and stuff. Like, she would practice. Like, she would train a little bit, and I used to do it with her. And then like I think that was the only female friend that I actually really had, and we pretty much, we kind of had our little moments where like I could be a jerk, and then like she could kind of be a little, not using, I don't really want to use that word, that's a little strong, but it's like a little like kind of like, like I kind of felt like sometimes I was like, okay, like why am I always driving you places and like all that kind of thing. But that's like when I was like in my 20s, I was kind of like a little not bitter, but kind of just like, okay, like you never pitch in for gas kind of thing, and like you always come over to my house and invited kind of thing. But it was kind of like whatever. Like I still liked hanging out, and we would like play guitar together and bass. She played bass and I would play guitar, and then we had a band with these other two guys or three guys at a certain point, and like we really had a good time. Yeah, mostly just sports, music. Like that's mostly what we did once we kind of grew up. But my brother too, but that's kind of mostly where most of my interests were. And then school and studying and stuff. Like I think around high school it kind of hit me that I don't want to suck at school. So I mean, I knew concepts, I just wasn't really good at like turning in assignments on time and like focusing and like making sure I got all the work done, like but I wasn't like failing my classes and stuff. I just didn't really study. I didn't know how to study. But once I realized that if I reviewed the lessons before class, that it would stick more, because it takes me a little longer to learn stuff, and I was never paying attention in class anyways. I was like, I feel like I almost taught my own self through school. Like most of what I learned was self-taught, in all honesty, because I don't remember ever paying attention in class, like to anything that they taught us. But I just felt like it was so hard to focus in class, because they would always be talking, because we always had these combined grades 3-4, grades 1-2, grades 5-6, combined types of classes. And so whenever one grade is working on the workbooks or worksheets or whatever, the teacher was like teaching the next segment to the next grade. So the teachers were always talking when I was trying to think. But I mean, I didn't not know how to do the work. It was just I needed silence, and then I didn't really do it at home either. But I mean, once I sat with the workbooks and stuff, I would always just figure it out by myself. So there was that, which is weird. But like, yeah, like it was always just interesting. But all the like gender related stuff that's kind of like happened throughout my life, I mean, it's just kind of interesting. Like I've never really thought about it in too much detail, like all together, with like, especially with like the kids I used to play with as a kid, and kind of like the different dynamics that kind of came up with the different groups, and kind of all the different ethnicities that I was around and stuff too. Like it's kind of interesting, like, because like I grew up in a religious kind of household, and then like, Friday, Saturdays, we were doing a lot of religious stuff. And so not only did I know kids on my block and kids in school, but I knew kids at church. And so I was always like, you'd think I would have more female friends, having all those friends, around. But I've always just been around a lot of people my age. That's been just kind of normal for me. Just to know different types of people who do different types of things. And I just kind of just like to vibe with everybody, in all honesty. But I mean, there's certain people that I maybe just don't get along with. Not that we fight or anything, but just I maybe don't prefer to be around, or maybe certain periods of time I like to be around that certain type of stuff. Like for example, I don't really do a whole lot of like clubbing as much anymore, even though I'm not going to say I'm not going to do it, because I'm probably just going to go do it next week. But I like it a lot, but lately I've been focusing more on like concerts instead of clubs, because it adds up, like most times clubs are free, but the clubs I like to go to, but yeah, it's not that I'm not going to go clubbing. It's just that, the club that I like the most of my friends don't like it, but it does tend to have a free no cover before. But people say it's intense, or I don't know why they don't like it, but I like it more than the others. And then, you know, the other ones, a lot of my friends like to go to, but they like to wait till later, and I like to sleep early, and they want to wait till later and start drinking at like 10:30, and then there's always a cover after like 9:30 or 10, and I don't really too much enjoy drinking that much, especially ever since I started waking up like so ridiculously early in the morning. Drinking isn't as fun as it used to be because it's like, okay, I'm not going to drink by myself, and I'm not going to pregame too much anymore like that. And then when I go out, it's always so late. And then when I wake up, I feel like crap. And then I feel like I just have to waste the whole next day just like I don't get like super hungover because I don't really drink enough to get hungover anymore. But I'll probably wake up with a headache, and then, spent more money than I probably wanted. Because then it's like, like what I usually like to do is, because the place where my friends like to go the most has food, I usually just take an edible and then go out and eat. And like, I'll let them drink and stuff, and I'll usually just have food because I'm like hungry because I get the munchies. So I'd rather, if I'm gonna spend money, I'd rather just buy a meal than spend like $50 on like alcohol. It's like, well, I'll spend like a whole bunch of money on food, and Ubers and stuff. And so I'd rather do that, honestly. But yeah, I haven't been really going out as much for obvious reasons I've explained before. But yeah, I don't really know. Like I've kind of realized, I mean, I think I knew this before, but like even in dating, something that's kind of a little bit of a difficulty for me is kind of the activity lifestyle of a lot of the females I meet. Now, I know stereotypically a lot of gay females do have the kind of a stereotype. Maybe not even a stereotype. Like maybe it's something because there is like maybe a higher number of like gender related kinds of like gender queer kind of differences going on there too, with the spectrum of the types of people that I like to date. I would say that sometimes something that kind of maybe is hard, it's not even like negative, but it's just like maybe not a preference, are just like the complete homebody types of people who just like to sit home and like watch TV. Like when I meet somebody, that's not really how I want to spend my time with them. Is just going over to their house and literally just like watching TV all day. Like I can deal with like YouTube, Netflix, but when it's like literally TV, I just like, just shoot me now. Like I just can't, unless it's like sports, like that's kind of different, or like something that's actually like the Grammys, or like something that's like a TV based thing. But I don't like made for TV movies. Like at this point, it's like, y'all, like we all have computers, we can stream stuff. Like you just hook that thing up to your TV, like I don't really want to be watching commercials and stuff. Like I just cannot stand it. It drives me absolutely nuts. And especially when that's like the only thing somebody wants to do, it's just like I just have zero interest in that at all. Like I think at one of my friends' houses we watched Compton Pride. I think it was on like Instagram or something. That was pretty fun. I had a good time doing that. And it was like a group of like gay women, and one of their husbands. And so yeah, it was pretty chill. Like I like that kind of thing where it's like a gay group of friends. Like I remember another group we had we watched some of what's that Mae Martin Netflix series. I think it has the word happy in it. Jeez, how am I forgetting? I always blank on the name of it because it's kind of a strange name. But Mae Martin, I don't know Mae Martin's actual gender, pronouns, identity, but I think them. But I think Mae Martin's a comedian, and from Canada, I guess. And then, yeah, I think lives in LA now. At least was recently doing a lot of, at least in October or so, was doing a lot of live comedy shows in LA. And I actually wanted to go see one, but when I saw where they were, I was like, I don't really want to go all the way over there. Like, just LA traffic, man. Like, when I'm gonna do stuff by myself, it's really hard for me to want to drive like an hour and a half to go do something. You know, like if I'm not gonna be like visiting somebody, I'm probably not gonna go all the way across town to do it. It's really hard for me nowadays. I used to do that, but now I'm like, I've become so cheap, because I'm saving. I'm trying to see what I can afford property wise. But I don't know. I don't even know. Like I've been saving a lot of money, but I've been spending a lot of money too. Because I have to go to San Diego every now and then. But and I splurge when I go. Like I'll stay like at an extended stay, like with the couch and the nice bed and the fridge and all that. And I'll like put a bunch of stuff in the fridge and stay like 4 or 5 days sometimes, you know, like I'm having like a good time because I'm working remotely. So I'm just like sitting there like eating my breakfast and eating my lunch. And I've done some podcast recordings from some hotels. So when I can do the extended stays, I'll do the extended stays. Because they're really not that much more sometimes. I just think during summer they cost way more. But I feel like they're a little bit nicer than the other. Like, San Diego has so many hotels, and there's so many of them that I don't like. Like, I don't know. I should do, like, some kind of weird review of San Diego's hotels. I've stayed at so many. Like, I can't even describe, you know, how many hotels I've stayed at. Because even sometimes when I've had roommates, you know, I've gone to hotels, and then even sometimes when I've had just like PTO and I just wanted to have like, oh, let me get out of the house, because it's not so fun to stay home when you have PTO. And it's like, okay, I'm just gonna stay home in my little bedroom while my roommate's like flipping out in the other room. Like, I'd rather just not be here, you know. And so I'd go like to Orange County or LA, or just stay in San Diego, or go to like the IE area, and just like, that was my little staycation. With everything was within like 100 miles away, and I would just chill for like a 3-day, 4-day weekend or whatever I created for myself. So yeah, I've been to a lot of hotels. I always found it refreshing, you know. I'd like hang out in the pool. I could have people over, like whatever. But yeah, like, I don't know, like, it's kind of hard for me to have, I don't mind friends, like, female friends is kind of like whatever. I have a lot of female friends, I would say. Actually, yeah, I have a whole lot of female friends now. But I don't think any of them, because it's kind of interesting. Like, I'd say that I meet more people that I would potentially at least meet through potentially going on a date or multiple dates or whatever. I tend to meet more people like that tend to be like the high femme type that, take an hour to do their makeup and like to do the mani-pedi weekend spa kind of thing. I mean, I'm just not too into it. It's just not my thing. Like, I'm not really into it. But yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with like spa days and all that. It's perfectly great, but I'm just not into it. Like, I mean, I like going to the sauna, like not like the gay hookup room type sauna, but I mean, I don't really know of any. Well, they exist out here, guys, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the actual one that's at the gym, at the 24-hour fitness, the 24-hour fitness co-ed sauna, with all the people from the gym, like that type, not the backroom gay hookup type. Because I know, like, yeah, never mind. I'm not even gonna go into that, but there's nothing wrong with it. Just, that's not what if I start talking about that, I'm gonna go on such a hard tangent. I think I've recorded another video about it, another episode about it, though, on this podcast. So I'm pretty sure I recorded something about bathhouses and stuff. I'm pretty sure, because I feel like I was driving to San Diego when I was doing it. I'm pretty sure I have. But, I mean, if you don't know what I'm talking about and you're of an old enough age, I mean, if you look up clips on YouTube of queer as folk, of like what a back room is, like queer as folk back room, like, you kind of get the impression of what it is. I mean, I've been to bars where people were like hooking up. There was like this leather bar in San Diego that we just went in more than once, but once in particular that, yeah, there was a lot of sex happening near those bathrooms in the hallway, but I mean, whatever. like where else are you gonna do it? And another time they were like doing it right front of the door in a pickup truck, like not the back bed of the pickup truck, but it was like the ones that have the seats, and like, I don't know, I'm not gonna explain this whole thing, but anyways, we were gonna go into the bar, and then we heard that happening, and we're like, you know what, let's just go to the other bar, because they seem busy. But anyways, shout out to the Eagle, in San Diego. There's one in LA too. I haven't been to the LA one, but let me see. I don't even know what I was talking about. I said something about the sauna. Yeah, because I like the sauna at the gym. The steam room is like always broken. Like I don't know why. And like I went in there twice when it was kind of funky. Like, I didn't really like that. And I think I've talked about this on this podcast too, but there's this Korean spa near me that has like kind of like I don't know what you call it in English. There's not really a name for it in English. It's kind of like a spa. I don't know what you call it. Like, it's called a spa, but I don't know. There's not like an American equivalent where you have kind of like that communal bath, like where people don't have their clothes on, but it's not a co-ed communal bath. At least I don't know of one that exists like that. But there's like a men's side, a women's side. It's mostly just old ladies. I mean, I don't know. I have an on and off switch. I would never go into a place like that and be like checking people out. Like, it's not really what I'm there for. But I just find it more anxiety provoking than anything else, because I'm usually the only person that looks like me. And so it's just kind of awkward, because it's like, yeah, I want to relax, but I know that people aren't knowing that I know what's up over here. Like, I understand it because I've been there enough. Um, but it's because I used to go with some Japanese friends. Um, and the food was really good. Oh my gosh, they have this Korean seafood soup that's like, oh, it's like heavenly. Like, I don't even know if they still serve food there, but I would literally go just to get dinner. Like, it was good food. And I think they had like some other places you could buy food. It was such good food. Oh my gosh, it was like the best food ever. And you're just like laying on this like heated floor, and you can tune in if you have like headphones. You can tune in your headphones to like, there's certain TVs on the walls, but you can't like hear anything unless you have headphones. And so, I mean, that's a chill kind of spa to me. Like, I like that because it's not even like time limited. But I don't know. I think they do have like a massage room and like mud bath type stuff. I'd have to look at it again, but I never went there for that. There's like certain tickets you could get for certain types of stuff they have there. Yeah, it's a really cool place, but it's not like for like gay exploration or anything. There's but yeah, I think what I was trying to say, I'm getting tired. What I was trying to say is that, um, I know I have a lot of females that I meet that are kind of into like the mani-pedi type of places. Like like the makeover type of stuff and all that kind of thing. That's not really an interest of mine too much. I mean, I appreciate that people like that kind of stuff and that it's cool, but that's not really how I want to spend every weekend. Some people say, I think they say I like getting pampered, and I kind of get that. I kind of understand why. I'm not trying to judge it, but to me, I don't feel right about it, if that makes sense. Like, I know the people doing the job have to make money, but I don't feel right about taking that mindset that somebody is pampering me, or maybe somebody pampering me that I don't know. Like, I feel like it's a little different if it's somebody that you know who's like, oh, let me like do some special thing versus like, a complete stranger who's just there to pamper people, like for money. Um, I don't know. Like, I just feel a little weird about it. It almost makes me feel the same as when people say, say if you go to like, I don't know, fast food, like say if you go to McDonald's or something, and the trash cans are like right there. Like, you never have to walk like 20 steps to even get to a trash can. So, like say they have a tray or whatever, and you have your food and you're eating your Big Mac or whatever, and then, people who purposely leave the stuff on the table, like, I'm not talking about if they forget or if they just walk away because they're busy or really rushed or whatever, but the people who purposely say, oh, I'm gonna leave that there so that they'll have work to do, or like so that they'll have something to do, that, or like because it's their job or something to put it away. When it's just like, dude, it's your trash, just throw it away. Like, the trash is like right there. There's a trash at like every turn inside the McDonald's. Like, they don't just have even one trash can too, they usually have like so many. And so I don't even know. They usually have at least 3 sets of trash cans inside, if not more than that. There's usually one to the back, one by one door, and one like whichever side is the pay side, and then one by whichever side is the food pickup side. And sometimes they even have more than that, and they probably have them outside a lot too, from what I remember. And in the outside seating area, the outside eating region, they usually have a couple trash cans there too. So it's not that hard to throw stuff away. It's not like you're at like the Olive Garden or something and you're like picking up your plates and all that. But I mean, yeah, I feel like that's kind of the feeling I get when I think of like the workers, not necessarily that that's how they're being treated, but just to have the mentality of like, oh, I'm going here so they can pamper me. Like maybe I'm taking the word wrong, but to me it just feels a little like demeaning towards people. Like I know that's the job they choose. Like it's the job they choose. I'm not saying that people shouldn't go to them, but I feel like it's I don't know. I don't know. It's weird cuz I've gone to like massage places, like the basic ones, and like they seem to be really nice people that like doing that kind of work. Some, just like with any type of job, there's going to be somebody that's like, oh, their mood is kind of off today. But, usually they're usually pretty compassionate people that kind of like doing a type of healing type of a work. Like, usually they're like, like they've kind of got like at least out here in LA in San Diego areas, it's like definitely this kind of hippie vibe, and just kind of like the knowledge of like the human body and all this kinds of stuff. Like they know a lot. It's a different type of like healing work. So I guess maybe if somebody said they were going for healing work versus getting like pampered, maybe that's maybe where the difference is. I maybe can't relate to the pampered part, but when it's like when I take it from a perspective of like this is like a healing thing to experience, I can kind of get that more. I can vibe with that. So I don't know. Maybe I need to adjust my thinking on it, but that's just kind of. I mean, people are gonna say and think whatever they want. That I don't really care. But like yeah, that's just kind of. It's just kind of interesting to me. And then, yeah, like when I'm finding people to kind of date, I kind of don't prefer certain types of activities. Like, I don't really want to call them like girly activities necessarily. But, and there is a type of too active for me, like, like my friend, that I was talking about, runs like ultra marathons. Like that's too much for me. Like I would never want to do that for like a date, like training like that and all that kind of stuff. Like like that's just not for me. Like I'm not really into like extreme athletics necessarily. Like I used to have a friend that was like we would go nightboarding, but we would like go to the gym and then go to the beach and then take our snowboards up to the mountains, go nightboarding, like crash at somebody's house, and then he wants to wake up and go play soccer. And I'm like, oh my God, like, he's the kind of person I could hang out with him for like one full day and then I didn't talk to him for like months. It was like only when I needed like a real like athletic kind of push, and or I'd catch him at the last activity of the day. Like, what are you doing? Like, if you're playing basketball tonight or something, like, hit me up. But I would never want to start hanging out with him in the morning because we go literally breakfast to dinner, just like sports all day long. And that, like, was way too much for me. But we did a lot, but it was like bouldering, rock climbing, like, at the rock gym, sometimes out in nature, definitely a lot of the ocean types of sports, bike riding at the beach, rollerblading at the beach, like it can be everything. Like it was just so much. I was like, dude, you need to like chill. And he wasn't like super hyperactive. He just didn't like to be home a lot and didn't really like to do the movies and stuff. And I don't mind going to movies. That's something I want to get back into. And I like doing just outdoor stuff. Like mostly hikes, beach, stuff like that. I could do that kind of thing like almost every day. But yeah, like I don't really know. Like I feel like that for some people is like too much to not too much to ask, but like I've gone out with people that it was like I can't remember. Oh my God. I went on this one date like not that long ago. It was a few years ago. And she's like, we're meeting at the pier. And I'm like, okay, we're at the pier. And this was during the pandemic when you couldn't sit down at the benches and stuff. And so I was like, yeah, like, we've been standing here. And, I was like, do you want to go, like, walk, like, on the beach? And she's like, I hate the beach. Like, I mean, for someone, I don't know, when people hate the beach, it, like, hurts my heart. I'm like, I go there almost every day. So, like, she hates the beach, right? She's like, I hate the beach, and I don't want to go in the water. I mean, I didn't want to go in the water either. I mean, I would have if she wanted to. I totally, like, I don't care. I've jumped in the water in my jeans. Like, I don't really care. But I'm almost always wearing board shorts anyway, so that's, like, my go-to clothing is board shorts. Like, seriously, board shorts, like, all the time. Or basketball shorts, but one or the other. Even my nicer shorts tend to be board shorts or just, like, cargo shorts, but they tend to be a style of board short or from a company that makes board shorts. I think my Vissla shorts aren't, well, I have Vissla board shorts, and then I have Vissla shorts that are just, like, kind of for, like, walking, hiking. Those are my two favorite pairs of shorts, but I don't wear them that much. But yeah, like, she didn't want to go walk in the sand. She didn't like the sand. She didn't like the beach. She didn't want to go stand and look at the water. She just wanted to sit somewhere. And so we basically ended up sitting, like, outside of Skechers. I think it was a Skechers. Like, we went inside, looked around, and there was, like, a little plant ledge. And we basically sat there for, like, 2.5 hours. And I was like, I was so bored. I was just like, this is so boring. And, like, we sat, it was, like, on a street corner, basically, at a busy intersection in a little beach city. And, I don't know. Like, she doesn't take walks. She would never take walks. She would never do, like, anything. Like, I can't remember where we walked to, but, like, she couldn't walk there. And it wasn't that far. Like, we used to hang out at this, like, garden. There was, like, this community garden that we would, like, hang out there. And it had, like, plants and everything. But yeah, that was kind of the only place we would hang out. But yeah, I just found all that stuff so weird, man. Like, for me, it was just so weird. Like, I was just like, what is going on here? Like, to me, it was just so weird. All that kind of stuff was just weird to me. So, I don't know, but that's just hard for me, though. It's hard for me to, like, go on dates long term with people who don't have, like, any form of active lifestyle. And when there's a combination of not physically active anymore, or not physically active and not, like, intellectually kind of active, it's like you don't watch or read or engage with any type of content or any type of things out there that, like, make you think at all. Like, like, if somebody's just sitting watching Lifetime all day on their television, like, I just can't. Like, it's too boring for me. But I don't know what it is. Like, there's kind of like a media, like a middle ground for me. I like active, but maybe not, like, 3 sports a day active, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner active, or not, like, let's train for some, like, massive, like, climb Mount Everest kind of adventure. Like, I like people that you have maybe, like, a little bit of athletic goals. I don't know why I find that appealing. Like, that's always interesting, even if it's, like, stuff they do, like, at their house or, like, whatever. Like, even if they don't like talk about it, they don't have to like say anything, but it's like just people who have like athletic goals. Like, I kind of like that. Like people who play like in a league, or even if it's like a casual like, meetup league where they get together and play at the park once a week or something, or they go to like a yoga class, or do like the one or two classes at the gym every now and then, or like most of the people I grew up around and most of the people I know are kind of just like into surfing and like beach sports and hiking and that kind of thing. So even that kind of stuff, or even just like team sports, I'm kind of more, I've gone from liking playing team sports to like really liking just kind of individual sports. Like of course snowboarding, but I kind of like skiing too. I just haven't done it in like forever, and I don't own skis, but I'm actually thinking about, it's on my list of when I do get a new job to get skis. Because I mean, I'm gonna use them anyway, so I just think that, when I go to the mountains, I might want another choice other than snowboarding. I might want to ski sometimes, especially when we go, like, if we ever go out of town and stuff. Because when we went to Taos, New Mexico, I was like, yeah, it was cool to snowboard here, but, some of the runs were really made for skiers because they had those, like, those flat, like, areas. And so I was kind of really like, oh, I kind of want to go skiing, just to check out those types of areas, I like rollerblading. I do that. And then, because I'm at the beach like almost every day. So even in the winter, I still go almost every day. Like, even though I don't get a lot of time there, I try to go like after work. But I don't get a lot of time there because the sun starts going down. And, I try to get back to the house before like 5 o'clock. So I'm not really staying there like way too long. And because I don't go in the water all the time anymore because it's freaking cold now, I kind of just don't, I just don't, um, yeah, I'm trying to think if I do or not. Yeah, I don't think I do. I don't really go that much anymore to like go in the water because it's freaking cold. So, and that makes it less motivating for me because I like the water. But that's an easy thing to do. But yeah, like I don't know, like that's just something I'm noticing is like dating's kind of hard because it's kind of hard to know, what a person's gonna be like. And I know I have a lot of guy friends that are the same. One of my guy friends, who lives in San Diego, he has a really athletic girlfriend. I have some gay couple friends. Like almost all of them are, they play sports like in dodgeball leagues and kickball leagues and all kind of sports leagues and stuff. Like almost all of them are in like leagues, like gay leagues. And I my I don't know. My like I'm trying to choose my words. um yeah, I'm thinking that the last person I went out with was kind of like kind of more on that hybrid end of things at first, and then kind of like wasn't. Like they would kind of do like the hybrid kind of like indoor kind of like homebody thing, but then like would still get out and stuff. And yeah, I think I kind of got a little bored of them because they didn't really like to get out too much. And then we just started going out to eat, but it's like we weren't really going out for like drinks even. And at that time, I really liked going out for drinks a lot. So I was kind of like, okay, we're going out and we never drink, you know? And so it was kind of like a little boring for me. And it's not like we were going to eat and go hike or something. Like we would eat and then just like, okay, now we go home. Like that's it. Like, I'm like, this is so boring. Like, or we just like hang out like in the house, but not in my house. And so it was kind of like, okay, like I don't know, like I would always just be like, whenever the TV would turn on, I would just be like, all right, I gotta go. Like I don't want to watch this. Like I don't mind playing video games with people. I actually love playing video games with people. That for me is fun. I like games in general. I don't know why I've always found that fun, just playing games, even if it's not sports, like just playing games with people has always been fun for me. But I like playing games, card games, Call of Duty, whatever. And yeah, that kind of thing. That can kind of make up for being in the house a lot if somebody wants to play games. Like I'll kind of do that. But yeah, if we're just gonna watch like straight up Hallmark Channel or something, I just can't do it. Like even once a week is too much for me. Honestly, once a week for an hour would be just like death. Like I hate TV so much that I just can't watch it. Like it's so obnoxious. It's as obnoxious to me as, you know, those little TV ads at the gas station, how when you go to pump your gas and it starts advertising some random thing to you that you don't want and you can't turn it off and you're trying to like focus on not leaving your wallet on top of your car or like whatever, you're trying to focus on the gas pump and the thing is just like talking. That's kind of how I feel. Like whenever someone turns on the TV, it's just like noise and I'm trying to filter out and I don't want any of that information. It's just like so obnoxious to me. I hate television so much. Like I hate the ads more than, I don't hate movies. I don't hate binge watching shows. Like I just hate ads. They suck. They're so annoying. But yeah, I hate that. But I know a lot of people like it, and so I try not to really do too much dating with people who are really into television. That's kind of like, I don't know if I want to call it a deal breaker, but I think it almost is. I'd prefer someone who listens to NPR or the radio than somebody who watches television a lot, you know? And I'm not talking really like YouTube, Netflix, that kind of thing that's just like on a TV, but I mean like television with the commercials, just the classic TV. I just can't do it. Like even when I watch sports, it's so hard for me that the stupid advertisements are always in it, but I mean I can kind of be like, okay, like because I like sports enough, it's kind of good enough for me, you know. I'm like, okay, whatever, at least I like sports, so I'll put up with the commercials. But I don't know, it's just too much information that I don't need to think about. I don't want to know the new stuff that's out because then I'm gonna want to buy it. It's just, I'm perfectly happy just not knowing what exists, honestly. I'm perfectly happy not knowing what my options are and what I can't afford and what's better than what I already have. As long as I don't know that it exists, I'm perfectly fine. I hate the feeling of wanting something that I either can't not that I can't afford it, but something that is like, I hate the feeling of wanting to purchase an upgrade but being like not really in a place to be able to really smartly do it. That to me is just like, I don't like thinking about like, all right, how am I gonna like get this new thing that I want? And you know, It's just, I don't know. I don't find it pleasant. It doesn't bring me joy. It doesn't bring me joy after I buy it, after I've had it a few days or whatever. Usually, the excitement of it wears off. I mean, I've been so out of the practice of actually like buying stuff that's not really like practical, or for like I'll buy snowboard stuff, like stuff like that, but like I just kind of like having passes to stuff and like tickets to stuff. That's kind of more what I like. And I've never really had a lot of space to be putting a lot of extra things anyways. And so I'm kind of fine without buying more stuff all the time. But Amazon Prime has made it very easy to shop. So I don't know, that is, I guess, kind of a great thing. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not really focused on dating too much right now. I'm just trying to focus on career related stuff, because I feel like I can kind of get it done pretty quick if I just focus. I'm not trying to do it in a mean way, but I'm kind of trying to focus a little more on just banging this stuff out, so that my time between jobs won't be as long. Like, as much as I can finish before the end of this month, that will be less that I'll have to do when after it's my last day of work. So I'm kind of not really trying to like find any dates, but there is somebody. If they do hit me up, I will be prioritizing that for sure. But I'm not really like counting on it, and I'm not gonna talk to them. But I'm not gonna talk to them about making plans or anything. Just because I'm trying to focus, and I have like so many plans, honestly. Like, I think I have like 4 or 5 different days of things I have to do outside of work related stuff when I go to San Diego. How many days? Okay, the 26th, I have something I have to do. The 27th, I'm hanging out with someone as well. I think the 29th as well. The 30th as well. The 31st. I'm going to a concert, and so yes, that day as well. And so I have a lot of days that I'm doing things. I think I'm going to keep the 28th open, just so I don't have to have like every single day, because I might get a little toasted. But it's going to be pretty fun. I don't think I'm going to actually get a lot of studying done. Maybe I'll study on the 28th. I don't know. But it doesn't sound like I'm going to get a lot of studying done, because I'm going to be out every night after work. Like, not late, but I still have to work the next morning. So I think on the 27th, I actually have to go into work, which is like, I haven't been into work at all. I haven't been in the building since like October. Like, I don't remember when in October, but October. Definitely, it was before Halloween. I want to say like, let me see. My dad's birthday was October 15th, and he was not in town. So I think it was around the 10th. Because I think I had to pick up a check. So I think it was around the 10th or something. Yeah, because I was going to do something October 15th. I think I was going to house sit or something. I don't remember. Or pet sit. But anyways, yeah, I don't know. I think I may have exhausted everything I had to say relevant to this topic, even though I kind of brought in the topic with the little dating parts, but and the kind of I don't know. You know how it is by now. I go I go way off topic. This is how I am. When I'm sleepy, I am just not gonna focus much. But I don't know if I'm gonna go to sleep yet. I might stay up late, for fun. It's like 11 now. I might stay up late. I might stay up till like midnight, which is very late for me. It's already late for me. Because I'm not working tomorrow, so just gotta study. Just beach and study, and I'm good. But yeah. Alrighty. I'm gonna do what I need to do. And then go to bed. I feel like I was supposed to do something. I think I have to buy some stuff. I need to get some stuff delivered. Alright. With that, thanks for listening.